Hello, WWE fans, and welcome to the Wrestling Universe. As we're going to take a look at the some more pay-per-views. We're going to take a look at Clash of Champions for 2019, as Bray Wyatt's The Fray has finally struck once again and finally started to target the obviously the man himself, Seth Rollins, for the first time, beginning the war between him and Rollins, as he was a member of Raw at the time. So, without further ado, let's take a look at some of the highlights from this year's Clash of Champions. And first off, we had a Cruiserweight Championship match where Duke Jarlach would take on Humlet, Carlo, and Lynch Dora, who are both members of the 205 Live. And Duke obviously remained Cruiserweight Champion in the Triple Threat opener for Clash of Champions for the kickoff show this year. Then we would eventually go to the United States Championship match where AJ Styles would take on Cedric Alexander, who was a member of the Raw roster, and he was unable to defeat AJ Styles to capture the United States title as AJ Styles remains champion on the show. And then eventually we would see Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman had to work together before they faced off against each other to remain Raw Tag Champions, but unfortunately they were unable to coexist due to them preparing for their match later in the night. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode would take the Raw Tag Team Championships, and they would become the new Raw Tag Champions. Then eventually we would come to the SmackDown Women's Championship match where Bayley would take on Charlotte Flair for the SmackDown Women's Championship, with Bayley overcoming Charlotte once again and remaining the SmackDown Women's Champion. Then the next match, we would see the New Day putting their SmackDown tag titles on the line against the Revival, as the Revival are hoping to win win themselves SmackDown Tag Team Championships, and they were able to do so by beating the New Day, and they would end up capturing the SmackDown tag titles from them at Clash of Champions. And then we would eventually see the women's tag team title match as Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, the partnership with the titles, taken on Mandy Rose and Sonya Donovan from SmackDown, and Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross would end up defeating Mandy Rose and Sonya Donovan, remaining women's tag team champions. Then we would see The Miz hoping to take the Intercontinental Championship away from Shinsuke Nakamura during the Clash of Champions, but unfortunately Shinsuke Nakamura would beat The Miz and remain Intercontinental Champion at the Clash of Champions. Then we would see the return of Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks making her pay-per-view return since WrestleMania, taking on Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. But due to disqualification, she ends up winning, but Becky Lynch remains the Raw Women's Champion. Then we would see the WWE Championship match between Kofi Kingston and Randy Orton in a WWE Championship match. And finally, Kofi Kingston would get his revenge with Randy Orton and beats him 1-2-3 to remain WWE Champion at Clash of Champions. Then we would see the war between Roman Reigns and Eric Rollins implode in a no DQ match, which would eventually lead to Eric Rollins defeating Roman Reigns and becoming victorious at the Clash of Champions. And then finally, Seth Rollins and Braun Strowman would finally go one-on-one for the Universal Championship, and Rollins beating Braun Strowman to remain Universal Champion, only to get attacked by Bray Wyatt The Fray, who would end up being his next opponent for the Universal Championship. So, yes, they're pretty much the highlights for the Clash of Champions for 2019. And our next review, we're going to be taking a look at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, which obviously we'll take a look at the Hell in a Cell pay-per-view and see how what went down during this year's Hell in a Cell. So I'll see you then.